Hey all, so really exciting one here. This is war number 11, last war of the season against Space Bastards. And going into this war, we absolutely needed to win to have a shot of crossing back over the line into Masters for the end of the season. And what I did not realize at the time was that I had not died all season. I mean, I knew that, but nobody pointed it out to me until the end of the war. And I had 8 fights this war, several of them fairly important. And amazingly for me, I was able to bring possibly the most me team available and take those fights with Reed, who's going to be doing 4 of them, Venompool, who's going to be doing 2 of them, and then Killmonger for the last 2. And this is just so much fun. So, I'm going to get into this first one here. This Mordo has the House of X guidance pre-fight on it so that I can parry freely. I probably could have taken this with Killmonger, maybe even eaten a special 3, just used an Indestructible boost, gotten the True Strike up, beaten him that way, but decided that this was a little bit safer because this way, especially as he ramps, Reed is going to shut down Mordo's power gain, he's going to shut down Kinetic Transference. Just very, very little risk. Additionally, if he does happen to throw his special 3 into us when we do not have Indestructible or something else up, then it will be reduced by 50% because the special 3 as 1 hit activates 2 of Reed's Careful Study debuffs for a 50% damage reduction. So this just felt absurdly safe. You can see how much damage we're doing here. Did end up getting to his first special 2, or we would already have the passive, but we've already reduced his power gain by 80%. He's gaining basically nothing when he hits into our block, and we just throw the special 1 here to get extra charges, not worrying about building to our second special 2 and fully ramping. Easy, easy fight. So then somebody else handled that Terrax there, did a great job with Namor, and then I am taking yet another rank 4 Doom on Power Snack. Probably my single most common fight this season. Definitely my most common node. I think there was only 1 or maybe 2 wars all season where I didn't take Power Snack. But Doom has been very common here. And one thing that you may have noticed right away if you've watched some of my other videos this season is that this Doom is running willpower. And therefore, this fight just became that much easier. Because as we ramp thanks to the Despair Mastery and its interaction with the Petrify debuffs that I am stacking, and the Stun debuffs that I am inflicting, because I also run Petrify 3 out of 3, we are just going to be doing a ton of damage to him through reversing willpower without worrying about actually hitting him, without worrying about getting through Doom's absurdly high armor, his disgusting crit resistance, and the fact that this node also has Outlast to make all of that worse. This fight can be very long for certain champions, and when Doom does not have willpower, I actually will admit, those are the places where having somebody like Void or Mr. Negative with the pre-fight from Reed to get the Petrify up early would be better. But when there's willpower on the opponent, this is just so easy. We get ramped up very quickly, throw the 2 special 2s, and then we build right back up to the special 3, get that huge fury going from all the debuffs we have on the opponent. We are about 2 minutes in, and we have taken some block damage because this is a rank 4 Doom, but you see how simple this is. And look how much we're healing from the shock when it does apply to us. So now we have the big fury up, we're just going to be spamming special 1s to close out the fight because we want as many debuffs on as possible. And there we go. Even managed to get the stun on him at the end. We actually can't gain as many charges as we had debuffs at the end there, but it's just always fun to have Reed topped off at 9 as much as possible. So gave 1 to that Nick boss, and then now we're on to Reed's third fight, which is this Corvus. I honestly could have taken this with anyone on the team. I ended up going with Reed because he's a rank 4. He has an evade chance, which will be triggered by the active debuffs this node puts on us. Just figured he had more of a safety net than the others, and he's going to hit plenty hard. So right here you'll see why Corvus is on this node, because when his true damage comes back, he applies a second weakness. Doesn't really matter, because we're going to be throwing enough specials to remove these weaknesses, and the other thing is, notice that we've already turned willpower around, similar to with Doom. So I think here I decide, okay, throwing the special one didn't really feel worth it. Missed the parry there, and of course he goes for heavy. That's okay. But the special one didn't really feel worth it because he's just going to keep applying these weaknesses because we know that we're going to have to knock him down to maintain the debuffs. So here we go for the special 2. And now we really start reversing the willpower. We're doing extra damage. This is feeling better. And I honestly can't remember if I go for a second special 2. If I had gone straight for the special 2, I definitely would have thrown 2 here. Would have had that nice clean ramp. Yes, okay, so I do go for another one. Right? Or do I go for the special 3? Oh, it looks like I'm going for the special 3 because we're already ramped. Might as well finish him off. So, not the most exciting fight, but that's because basically anybody can take Corvus here. He's just going to be applying a few weaknesses here and there. They do add up, they do slow things down. As long as you don't eat a full combo or miss a special dex, nothing too much there. Now this next node, there very much is something here, because there are going to be a lot of buffs here, and those weaknesses can really add up because he gets another one every time he gets a buff. He goes Nullify Immune. All of those buffs on him are giving him power gain from the Rich Get Richer node. Once he gets to 5, then he goes into his overcharge mode, I forget exactly what it's called, and then gains power further because of his signature ability. I have seen a number of deaths to this fight, with Doom and also with Claire, who I think is actually a better counter than Doom most of the time. This can be tricky, even for Archangel, unless you have the Odin pre-fights, you can be risking it a bit. Enter Venompool. So I take Super Skrull every day in Map 8 with Venompool. And you see him gaining power from Rich Get Richer, but look at what happens right here when we Om-Nom a bunch of his armors. All of the sudden, we have ramped ourselves up through 3 buffs, skipping several steps in the phase because we gained extra cooking meter by stealing his buffs. And now the fight is over, because Rich Get Richer is on our side. And anytime he tries to do anything, we have the pre-fights from Reed, making it that much harder. So we just rocket up to the special 3 here from the Rich Get Richer power gain, and now we are going to wait for a good moment to go in for it, but then we pause the big bleed from the special 3 by crossing over 100 again. We are building Furies. I mean, this is just very simple at this point. And then I think I finish it off with a special 2. No. Okay. I think I was going to go for another special 3, but that did enough. So, honestly, one of the harder fights on the map, completely trivialized by Venompool. So now we're going to head into this Mojo. Normally, we probably would send a Spider-Man 2099 with Anti-Venom here, because it's a complete nothing node for him. Our best Spider-Man 2099 player did have to go elsewhere to deal with another problem, did very well there. I've taken this before with Reed. It's a good counter, just not the best counter, and so I felt comfortable coming over here again because I lined up so well to take out that Super Skrull. Now, you are going to see here, for those of you who haven't seen me take a Mojo before, my preferred method of dealing with Mojo, which is to not remove the Dexterity Mastery. Because I prefer the flexibility of it, I don't prefer getting hit in the face. That was just a missed parry. but I prefer the flexibility of being able to dex when I feel that I need to. You just need to be careful to make sure a buff does not end, specifically the dexterity buff. See, watch here. We are in the anti-life field, and we just want to make sure that that dex buff does not end, that we do not hit into him until the anti-life field is done. But as soon as that happens, we can do it safely. All we do is end a buff and give him a small regen, which we actually reverse from all the debuffs on him, including those 2 big petrifies. So he is starting to climb back up there in terms of prompts. He's up to 4 again, but I'm not really worried because I figure I can survive a couple degens at this point, and we are now fully ramped. He is draining his own power when he hits into us. We've reversed Kinetic, and he didn't get another special off, so no more prompts come into play. Reed is fully ramped again, moving on. And I still have 3 more fights. This was a bit of a marathon here, 6 in a row. I don't normally do this. You may have heard me say before, Campo and I tend to do things pretty equitably here, and we try to spread out the load as much as we can, both because it's more fun that way, and we also just think it tends to help avoiding burnout. You know, some people do tend to get more fights. Campo called out Toffrey, and that is absolutely true. I believe I'm slightly above average this season as well. But the 8 fights I'm taking this war is an anomaly for us. But they all lined up perfectly, as you're going to see here. So this Hulkbuster is actually what made me first think of Venompool, because I also take him in AQ, and Venompool hard counters everything in his kit, pretty much. But it wasn't until I saw the Skrull and realized how well that would go that I was like, okay, yeah, I'm bringing Venompool. I'm not making it happen. The lane lined up for it. So notice here as we get to the first special one that he throws. For one thing, we ate his armor and turned it into regen. Already good, helps our ramp. But now when he throws this special, he tries to armor break us. We're immune, we gain 50 cooking meter, and we ramp further. We're going to go ahead and steal this armor as well, getting more regen for ourselves. His ability accuracy reduction is coming into play. There's a 75% chance to Om-Nom a buff on every hit of Venompool's special one, and you're seeing it fail more than it normally does. But it doesn't matter, because there are 3 hits, we're still getting through. And every time he tries to do anything to us, we're punishing it by ramping further, getting more Furies. This fight is just so much fun. Additionally, because so much of our damage is in the form of these big bleeds, we don't have to worry about Safeguard. So, coming up, he's going to heal. And when he heals, he will go unblockable for a pretty good length of time, unless we also Om-Nom that. So here it is, throw the special one, and the unblockable is gone by the time we're done. Finish it off. Excellent Venompool fight. Finishing at 100%. And that's where he's good. It's often difficult for him not to finish at 100%. I just love him so much for those. I also need to take a second to plug my own videos here and say that if anything in these Venompool fights confused you, if you still feel like maybe you don't fully grasp everything that's going on in his kit, then keep an eye on your YouTube notifications over the next 24 hours, because I will be releasing a guide on him as my next video, and hopefully I can answer any questions you may have there. So another MODOK, 3rd Killmonger versus MODOK war in a row. This one is on Stunning Reflection rather than the boss. I actually think this is a harder placement, because the boss has more health and more attack, and if something goes wrong, it can go wrong very quickly. I'm not taking away from that. But MODOK hits kind of hard on his own, and can probably kill you if you make enough mistakes anyway, and it is easier to make mistakes on this node, because the polka dot power means that unless you are absurdly lucky in landing your bleeds basically every time you hit him, you're not going to be able to throw as many special ones as you do on the boss. And that means you're going to have fewer openings. You're going to have to bait more heavies, which means more high ground and more chances to mess up the heavy decks, eat a fire fart, and burn to death, which, as MP Blaze said in a recent video, is how most deaths to MODOK end up happening. So you really don't want that to happen, but we are starting to get some better crit luck here. As with the boss, the important part of the fight is pushing him to his first bar of power and getting True Strike up. It's not over at that point because, like I said, this one doesn't give you as much access to Counterpunch, but that really is the turning point. And from there, you can get into a really good rhythm. Notice that he doesn't have any high ground charges right now, and we just turned it around so that he does, but now the fight's over. So, a faster fight than the boss, but I do think there are some more challenges to it, like I explained, and still a perfect Killmonger fight. I would send him there over anyone else, personally. And then we take this Mr. Negative. I took Mr. Negative last war with Killmonger on a different node. The strategy is pretty much the same. You rely on Counterpunch to get reliable openings without having to parry him, and therefore he never gains light energy, never reverses your controls, never inflicts a delirium. Very straightforward fight. So we'll push him to the special 2 if we can. If not, whatever. I can usually dex the special 1. We have the regen boost still going from the MODOK fight. That's going to allow us to bait a bunch of heavies without worrying about it. My goal is to get to the special 1s in time to refresh those debuffs so that I'm doing more bleed damage and so that he's throwing fewer specials, but it's really not the biggest deal in the world if we lose them. So there's a special 2, we go in. Okay, and I didn't back off because I got to the next special 1, so I knew I'd have Counterpunch. If I didn't think I was going to get to the next bar of power, I would have backed off early in that combo and tried to use my last Counterpunch to get in on that opening. So there, like I said, I can usually dex the special 1, but I think in the off-season I'm going to make sure to practice it because that is not the first time I've missed it recently, and I do not want that to become a thing. Thankfully, doesn't do a lot of damage and puts a non-damaging debuff on us that allows us to heal up, and now we're back in our rhythm with Counterpunch. Don't have True Strike at the moment, but now we have it back. Doesn't even matter because the fight's over, so it's not like we're going to get reverb up at the same time. So perfect war for this team. 4 fights with Reed, 2 for each of the others, perfectly suited to their strengths. I can't ask for a better war to end this season on. And so like I said earlier, that means that I did not die this season. And I don't think that Deathless seasons are necessarily the be-all, end-all, because sometimes you have really great players where something comes up in their life, or, you know, they end up taking a fight that they know is risky because it's what has to be done for the Alliance and things go sideways. It's not something that makes or breaks a great player, right? That said, it feels really good, and I don't think I've had a Deathless season in at least a couple years. Definitely not as long as I've been at SSx. And so it was really, really nice to unlock that achievement here at a new Alliance again. I did go back and check, and I took 66 fights this season, so a perfect average of 6 per war spread out over those 11 wars, which, like I said, is slightly higher than average, the dead average always being 5, right? Not nearly as many as a lot of others take, so I'm not going to pat myself on the back too much, but definitely feel good about that. I do not know what my personal streak is. I could figure it out looking back at Season 30. I'm not going to do that because I am just superstitious enough, or maybe more aware of my own psychology, I should say, that I just know it's better for me not to know the number. But things are going pretty well. I do feel like I've found a groove personally, and then, more importantly for the Alliance, because there are a lot of us in every battle group, I don't think it's just me who's found a groove, because Battle Group 3 finished Season 31 without dying at all. We got our donut this season right at the end. which just felt amazing because, like I said, we really, really needed to win, and a battle group going deathless goes a long way in that. So does a battle group getting 7 kills, so huge shout out to Campo for his defensive work this season. I may have mentioned before, I tend to prefer taking the lead on the offensive side of things because I kind of get in my own head on defense, and I also think that I'm maybe not quite as strong there, and so Campo's been taking the lead on that and just doing a fantastic job this season. 7 kills is a lot at this level for a single battle group, and really helped swing the war in our favor. We did end up winning this one, and so after the wars ended, before any docks went out or anything, we were sitting 9th in the second bracket of Masters, so 19th overall. So that's hopefully our second Masters finish in a row, and it feels good to be in that defending position again. Really, really happy with that. Just so proud of the Alliance. We had some rough wars, but we were trending positive, and we're going to try and keep doing that going forward. Just, it's so much fun to be here. Huge shout out to everyone in BG3. You guys have just been amazing. You make this job a lot easier than it could be, honestly. It's been said a lot recently with the speculation about, is there possibly going to be a longer planning period in the future for wars? Because everyone knows that being an officer sucks. And in a lot of ways it really does. But, man, having the right battle group makes it easier and makes it worth it. Really comes at it from both angles there. And I am just so grateful for what we've built in BG3. Thank you so much to everyone. Thanks to SSx. And I will see y'all again soon. Until then, thanks for watching, and take care.